All right, what's going on, everybody? It is Monday, May 15th, 2023. And yesterday was good for certain setups. It was two of the pair. I posted a picture of it in the group, or I think I posted in the group. It was actually on my Facebook. But two of the setups that we called last night were actually in the right direction. The rest are pulling back, which was something I was mentioning on last night's analysis, how we needed to wait for a pullback on some of them. And that's what some of them are doing. Some have new peaks, some haven't formed new peaks yet, but ultimately, we're looking to go in the same direction for some of the pairs. And we have some of the new peaks. I already have written down on the board in front of me what pairs that I'm going to be looking at, just based on the setup, because I was going through them before we hopped on, just so I can save myself some time of which ones I'm going to look at. And I'm looking at what is it? 7 of them. So I'm going to do like a process of elimination essentially and figure out which ones I want to look at, which ones I want to take. And as time progresses past Asian session, I'll start knowing exactly what we're going to be looking at or what I'm going to be trading. So, but let's get to it. So the first one we have is USD CAD new peak formation high sent from yesterday. I like it overall. I actually have it written out here of what I see happening. So this is the new day, obviously, and I have this thing going up and then down. So we have a break of structure. It was a peak formation here. We have a break of structure here, right? Broke through, new low, essentially. And I see it going down to the ADR low. And on top of that, at 8:30 a.m. EST tomorrow, there is news on the dollar and the Canadian dollar. So there is a lot of potential here. It's at a high. It kind of formed this peak here that you saw yesterday, but I still see it dropping some a little. Just off of the quick analysis, the daily looks good. It's kind of stuck in like it's what would you call it? Just like it's a little range right here. So it's just kind of stuck in the middle, but I do see this thing dropping down to the low just to retest that low. And then from there, we'll be able to get a better view. But it wasn't, there was some divergence here on the 1 hour yesterday. So if we see here, we have price going across flat, and then we have price overbought, shark fin, tight Bollinger Bands on the TDI, and then it expanded out. So the volatility is there. So what I see playing out is a little stop hunt high, or maybe a little higher. The EMAs are tight. So we gotta have to wait for a zone. It might be a little bit higher, and then from there, we'll look for a drop to continue in that direction. Who is check it out? You got going on this peak formation indicator. I trade only gold these days, but I want absolutely, bro. It's good to have you on. It's cool to incorporate it into other things. I mean, I look for specific setups, and the indicator kind of just gives me clarity of exactly what it is I want to look at. It does look at gold. So like gold is right here. There's a peak formation high 3 days ago. And we actually had it for sells. There was a peak formation high here last week, dropped, and we had it for a sell, but it took a week for it to drop down to the specific point that we had. But it did form that new peak, and it still looks like it's going to be dropping. So based on that, I would keep going with the peak. But so we just did USD CAD. Now I'm going to go over Euro AUD. So this one, well, last week we had this for buys. I talked about it during my analysis, and I said how essentially I wanted to look for buys, but then after the analysis ended, put something on my computer so I can make this a little easier on myself. 1 minute. This. Okay, so last week we had Euro AUD for a buy because this was the peak formation. If I can pull this up. Right, that was a peak formation. That was the institutional candle. They shot up, came around, and broke structure right here, and then it pulled back, and we were looking for buys here. And I was in on buys here. I actually took out a little early on the pairs just because it was Friday and the volatility was dying down, so I didn't really see that much more movement, and it went up like 30 more pips, which it is what it is. But I got some pips and got out. And then for this week, it's calling this as the peak from yesterday. And why I think that that's actually correct is because if we look at the daily, we actually have a broken structure to the downside based on daily, right? Even though it doesn't say this because the dashboard here is based off like the 1 hour, right? It looks for peaks based on the 1 hour, but this is the daily. So if we're looking at the daily, this is the peak, right? So we got a peak and we have a break of structure, made a new low. The only thing that's left to do is pull back and look for the opportunity to sell. Now, what's based on the indicator that we have now is it's saying that this up here was the peak. It's saying this is the peak. And in all reality, based on what I look for, you got divergence, you have price going up, you have the TDI and the RSI going down, which is first thing. It's like a head and shoulders is the perfect sign of a reversal. The EMAs were tight, but now they're kind of getting to the point of being a little up, and I still see it dropping. And it dropped last night and broke structure here, right? So on a higher time frame, this was the break of structure to the low, but right now, this was the break of structure to this low, confirming that. So I mean, if you were trading this, like the peak finder didn't call this yesterday, it just called it today as a peak formation. But if you were like looking at USD CAD and you saw that it broke that structure, your first instinct is to look for a pullback. And I mean, it literally tapped it on the point on the wick and then dropped however many pips. What is that? Let me see. If we caught this trade, 60 pips, just under 60 pips. So that's not bad. It's a pretty solid trade. And now I see it continuing. I have nothing telling me on the 1 hour that this thing is going to be going to go up. The only thing I would see maybe is that if this was going to go up, price would end up doing something like this, where the RSI would come down like that, but then it would stay above this point, right? And then it would go up, but price on here would drop and then it would reverse hard and go that way. That would be the only time we would be looking for buys in that aspect. But based on how I'm seeing the market right now, it just doesn't look like it's getting ready to do that. It actually looks like it's just getting ready to continue in this direction like that. It's getting ready to drop. So if I go to the 15-minute, there is some divergence on the 15-minute, which leads me to believe that this will pull back a little bit. So that's why we want to look for something like this, right? We want to see that over here where it pulls up, drops, and we get that sell. So I'm going to wait for that. It might not do anything until the morning because of the news. So who knows? We'll see what happens. What's this? Nice. Cool. So now we have GBP Chief. This is one of the pairs. Oh, the first two are pairs I'm looking at. And then you have GBP Chief we have for buys. So I'm going to look at this one. Go the 1 hour. So we have a trend line liquidity. We have price kind of getting the EMAs are getting really tight, which is just telling me that this can continue. That's just because they're tight doesn't always mean that we're going to be seeing something like this. It can lead to it by getting to that point, and just it could be like pre-warning us. But sometimes as price is starting to shift towards the up or towards a bullish standpoint, we do get a variation of price kind of just it will consolidate for a second, but I don't think it's going to do that. I think it's going to continue in the direction we're looking to go. So if I go to like the zoom in a little bit, like I don't see any divergence. I don't see anything telling me that they want to go down other than it's in the middle of like this trend right here or like in this consolidated state. So let's see. This was the peak for the bottom here, right? This was the peak from yesterday. So they called this the peak formation. It broke structure. Okay, so it's not post. It broke structure this high. Barely. Did it just here, which is cool. So the only thing that we'd have to do if this is going to be a buy, stop hunt low, rise. This would be the W, V, V, M, right? So we're gonna be waiting. We're just waiting for the setup. I might not trade this pair because there are some other ones I like, but this is something that I think would turn out to be like this. So we'll see how it goes. It could consolidate. I have two versions of what could happen here. I have a green line, which it means it would just essentially consolidate here, stuck in a range, and then just shoot up. Or it could drop down a little bit as it goes and then form that W formation to go up. So that would be the two options that I see if I'm going to be looking for buys. And I can tell you from experience, especially over recent weeks, that it's best to just stick with the direction of the peak. You could try to trade against it, and you will be successful sometimes, but I've noticed that it's better to just go with where the peak is telling you to go. And if it makes sense overall in the structure, take it. If it doesn't, just leave it alone. So let's go take a look at EuroCAD. I think this is one of the pairs that I like. No, this isn't. I didn't write this one down. So EuroCAD. The reason why I don't want to take this as a sell is only because it's already at low, right? It's already like matching these lows right here. So it's got equal lows, which is good in a sense of it could break it, knowing how, price is overall dropping. But I like to sell low or sell high and buy low, right? Like if I'm going to sell here, at least right now, what's going to happen is the chances I have a chance. Delete this. There is a possibility of, okay, cool, I think it's going to drop. Let's just sell it. And then it pulls up higher and then it breaks. By that time, your stop loss is hit unless you have a stop loss above this high, which is a big stop loss. But I mean, if you know what you're doing, it can work. So if we go to the daily, why are these all like that? Whatever. Okay, so if we go to the daily, we have what looks like a peak formation to the top here, divergence. It's not over, it wasn't a shark fin, so it doesn't really justify it, doesn't give it as much power. So this king, it could do anything. I think it could drop a little bit more, but it's at that point, it's at a low. So I would wait for it to break structure officially and then look for either a reversal back up or a continuation the next day. So if we go to the 4 hour, 4 hours beneath the 50, below the 50 EMA, they're just crossing. So like all this is just telling me that this does look like it most likely will drop. It's the part of not getting in too early because you just know it's going to drop, right? So you got to wait. So if I'm going to the 15-minute, okay, so there's not really any divergence, any major divergence. I mean, there is like right here. It's not major though, but like price going down and then price going up, right? So that just tells me that we would see something like this, just like a small pullback. But I think this is valid for a sell, but it's not my ideal setup. So I'm not going to be trading it. So now we have CAD Chief. This is the ones I have looking good for buys tonight. This is one of the ones I'm probably going to be paying attention to the most. So if I go to the daily. So the reason I like this one, just off of what the daily is, even though it's already low, right? Because you would think, okay, it's a downtrend. We're going against a trend. Well, on a shorter time frame, essentially, like first we have divergence, right? Then we have a break of structure here that broke right there, pullback, right? And now the peak formation low is at this point. That's where the peak formation low is. It's right at the V. So you have the W, V, V. I mean, this is the daily, so this would take a lot longer, but the WVVMs happen on higher time frames. But essentially, we're at that pivotal point where if this is going to go up, it's at that point of, okay, let's go. It's gonna shoot up. So then all we have to do is look at the time frames to see if this actually makes sense. So if I go to the 4 hour, 4 hours uptrend, it's above the 50. Like, so everything is saying it's good for buys so far. It's hitting the EMAs right now, so it's like in between it, and this could kind of get a little choppy. So there is a possibility of it consolidating and just getting trapped, kind of like this, right? See how it doesn't really go anywhere? Here it could kind of do the same thing, but usually when they get close right here, there's a breakout, right? So that all this means is this is a reset. This whole area is a reset, but it's a level 1 reset. So this was the peak. This is the W, ready? Level 1, consolidation, level 1, and then level 2, consolidation, level 3. We're just seeing a bigger time frame WVVN, and now we just got to wait for that opportunity to buy. And I think based on the setups that opportunity is tonight or definitely this week. So we'll see. And this is CAD. So the CAD news, if it's bullish, if CAD is bullish, then this is going to push price up. And based on how I've seen the market, news doesn't really do shit. It just kind of puts price in the right direction of where you see it going on a higher time frame. And I believe this is going to go up. So we'll see how it goes. So I'll be paying attention to this. And now we got NZD-JPY. This is another one for a buy. I like this one for buys. So more so a continuation. So I'll go to the 1 hour. There's nothing on the 1 hour telling me here on the TDI that it wants to just go splat, right? This never happens. That doesn't happen. So it will usually continue up into an overbought zone until it comes out of this volatility band. And then when it does, that's when you start waiting for a reversal. But I don't see this reversing. It just doesn't correlate in my mind. So I think this is going to continue. I think we're going to see a pullback and then a rise. Right. And we even had like yesterday, or this was a peak formation high. And it said to look for sells on this day. And this is the pair that we took on Friday. I took this trade, caught like pretty much all of that. And then beginning of Sunday, I was like, big pushes down. We're going to be looking for reversals. So all the JPY pairs on the analysis last night, I told them we were going to be looking for buys. And what's funny is I didn't take any of them. I was spot on with all of them. They all went up like 80 to 100 pips, and I didn't take any of them because it was a Sunday, and I was kind of just waiting. I had my eyes on other pairs, but they went up, and it didn't break this structure yesterday until, well, it did technically the end of the day. So it broke that structure, which is solid. So more confirmation for us to be looking for a pullback and a rise. But do be aware that this could be a straight drop. It might do something like this, right? It might not just pull back hard. And that's what I've been noticing with JPY pairs. They don't really pull back hard after for another big push, especially like a big push like this. There's no big pullback. It's always a consolidation and then a second one, and then it's just a straight up reversal. So this looks good for continuation for the buy. The daily looks good. Still uptrend, nothing saying going down. Weekly through that wick on the last week, but this thing looks like it's still going up. Yeah, I would just wait for the pullback down. Just a little bit drop, and then we look for buys. Then we have Chief JPY. Do I have this one on there? I do not. Okay, so it's kind of like the same reason as EuroCAD. The reason I don't want to take Chief JPY is because it's already at a high, right? So it didn't break this high. Didn't break it. It's up here. So there's two things that means. It means it could have room to go up again and test it or break it. Very possible. Price is consolidating above the 50 line right here, which is just more idea of an uptrend. So anything that's happening right now would just be a pullback. We would need to see, if we were going to be looking for buys, we need to see something down clearly, right? And it looks like price is already doing that. So it's like, that's something we need to see is a push down TDI oversold, W formation or some sort of shark fin, and then price goes back up, and that's when you look for buys, and you can take your profit at the recent high right here. So you could do that. You can go to this high, or you can zoom out and you can go to the ADR high, but that's way up there. It's up here. You could actually take it to this high. If it breaks here, like just know this, if it breaks these highs, these equal highs, it's going to here. So if it breaks here tonight, expect we're going to catch a pullback and then we're going to ride that shit up. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So this looks good. Let's go to, that was Chief JPY. Euro GBP. Now this one I'm not touching equal lows. So let's see. Let me go to the weekly real quick. Everything's going down. It's crossing the 50-year now. It's not oversold yet, but it did throw a shark fin, which usually means that we could see some potential reversal happening. And then we have this, it's already at the low here. So it's not ideal for me to look for sells at the moment. And that's what it's for, right? Euro GBP, peak formation. Oh no, peak formation low. I'm stupid. So this is saying that this is still the valid peak, not this. So essentially, if this is the peak and this was a true peak, then we're definitely looking for reversals to go up tonight. It would make sense. It's just that I don't know, based on the higher time frames, if this is something that we actually want to trade just because of it breaking structure on the daily. I mean, this actually could mean that if it broke this structure right here, that means that this is a new low and that this could pull up a little bit and then drop. But we have to see. 4 hour. You know what? It does. Still not the best. I'm not going to trade it. I'm not trading it tonight only because if I had to sit here and think about it, like, and try to paint a picture in my head of what it could do, it's not really for me. It needs to be obvious, like CAD Chief or USD CAD, like clear break of structure, right? If there's not that, then this could just go up and down. So I'm not going to touch that. Euro JPY was one of the other ones I liked. So we're looking for, that's a peak formation low. So we're looking for buys, and that was 3 days ago, but it didn't break structure until like yesterday, I think. So yeah, so it was here. Peak formation was right down here. Went up. It barely broke. It was kind of equal. So I didn't trade this pair on Friday, and then, or not Friday, but Sunday. Or no, this is, I'm stupid. This is Friday. So I didn't trade it on Friday. And then yesterday, Sunday, it broke that structure. And what happens is, remember how I told you the JPY pairs don't really do big pullbacks? Look what it's doing. It's consolidating, riding the EMA, and then it's going to go up. This is a level 1 consolidation. You have a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, level 1 push, consolidation after level 1, level 2 push, ADR high. So we are going to be waiting. I'm waiting for this to be a buy. It might be a buy soon because it's a JPY pair, and these pairs move during Asian session. Yeah. So that's what I'd be looking for tonight, guys. I think it makes the most sense. Overall, USD CAD, CAD Chief, and then Euro JPY are the top 3 pairs that I'm looking at. And then the other one I'm looking at is NZD Chief, but that's not on here. I only have it because the past couple of weeks I've been following NZD Chief like it's like my favorite pair. It really is, honestly, because of just how it moves recently. It's been very nice and flowing. So let's look at I don't like AUD JPY. I don't like CAD JPY. I don't think I looked at GBP JPY. It's kind of in the same boat. It has it for a peak formation low, but it never broke. It broke this structure. So let me look at it on here. Okay. So it got this peak formation. It went up. It broke this structure for sure. But if this is going to be a buy, it definitely needs to retrace. And it's divergent. So price is going up. Shark fin overbought, going down. So this is due for a pullback. And when that pulls back, then we can look for buys. But let me look on a higher time frame to see if it actually makes sense for buys. Okay, yeah, I like it for buys. I like it for buys mainly because of this pattern right here. And this is a pattern I see all the time where you have one massive bullish candle and then the next candle, it's bearish, but it doesn't take out the low. It like kind of remains at the top here. And then the next 2 weeks, it's like literally it does this. It's this, pullback, that. That's literally what we're looking at. That, high, higher low, higher high. That's literally all that is. And this pattern forms on every time frame. It's everywhere. It's ridiculous. So I do see this going up. And this is consolidating on week. Yeah. We got a trend line here. So they have liquidity trapped up there. Yeah, all this is saying buy. So you have this liquidity, right? And they're testing it right now. So once they break that, I'm gonna get a little bit clear on this. One sec. Right there. Right. So they have liquidity trapped here, and it looks like it's riding it right now. So this is where I was saying, look for that reversal, that pullback. And then once it pulls back, we would start looking for opportunities to buy around this section, around this box right here. This is the psychological support resistance that forms at the beginning of the week of the Asian session. So essentially, we're just waiting for it to pull back into that zone and then go from there. Makes the most sense to me. Now let's see. I don't even need these Asian session boxes anymore. It's weird. Thought I was gonna need them for. Oh, I could still use them. Don't really need them though. And we have. Yeah, I mean that's really much it. I mean, I can look at gold. Look at gold real quick. Even though it's got a peak formation high, so it's looking for sells. If I go to gold. Weekly, it's throwing a bunch of wicks. So it has a lot of potential. I mean, look at this shit. 1, 2, 3 hits to the high. Like, come on. 1990. It looks like it's going to go lower than that. I mean, over the coming weeks, but it's divergent. This is the daily. So we have divergence starting here, going up. Shark fin going down. 4 hour. Got some more liquidity trapped up here. There. There. Yeah, I think it's going to continue. So it's going to be like this. And then could see a breakout there. Or we could see breakout up here. But it based on the this is the 4 hour. So for the 1 hour, it only makes sense to keep now. It's in a weird spot. If we see it dropping down to the low, it definitely could, but it's stuck in the middle because the peak formation formed 3 days ago. So 1, 2, 3. This is the peak formation. And then this one shot down. So if we're going to be trading with the peak formation, which is one of the basic rules, then yeah, we want to be looking for it to drop, but maybe a slight pull up and then a drop. 15-minute. It's just it's in between the EMA, so it's like it's really hard to kind of give this pair some solidity. I personally won't be trading it, but I mean, I know people are going to be coming in like scalping this shit and getting on entries that are at the top. It's ranging right now. Just saving up contracts so they can push price in one direction with the dollar news tomorrow. So USD news in the morning, this is definitely going to push it in the right direction. We can see. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what it does. Let's see what news does. I personally am not looking at that. I'm looking at USD CAD, CAD Chef, and Euro JPY and NZD Chief. Let me look at NZD Chief real quick. Just double check it. Okay, so NZD Chief had a peak formation high 3 days ago. And I still think that that's what it is. So technically all this would be deemed a pullback, but I think if I look at it from a higher time frame, I actually had this, I wanted it for a buy. I had it for a buy last night, honestly, it's because so it formed a new low, but then this high shot all the way up, broke this structure, broke this structure, broke this structure, and then it's pulling back only to continue, right? So if that's continuing on a daily time frame, then I should easily be able to catch this thing all the way back to the high. It's just a matter of patience and waiting for the precise moment. I think what's going to happen, it's going to pull back a little bit, and then we're going to look for a continuation, and it's just going to do that. It's just going to continue gradually, just like this, like gradual. So it's there, and it's got an ADR of 180, which if we look at it from this week starting, it's only moved 58 pips. So still got a whole bunch of moves to go. And that ADR high, the ADR high is started here, so it's 47 pips away. 34 from the actual high, but if we wait for it to get low, then we get a sniped entry. Yeah. This we actually took this trade. So peak formation was set up here. Called it here. New day started right there. Called it peak formation high. Looked at this while on the trade. During the analysis, sold it right after it. I missed another pair too. I missed Euro NZD, but I grabbed pretty much all of this because it's clear. And this is why I like the peak finder, the dashboards, because if we wait for the right one, like this is inevitable. This follows. Drops like this are found after specific peaks, and the peaks are actually set on higher time frame price action. So if we look at higher time frame price action and we draw up specific points of reversals, then we have solid points of where peak formations can be formed. So you know what you're looking at. I mean, here's a peak. Here's a peak. That's just to the low. Then you have this peak. You have this peak, like points of structure. And if we look at all these points of structure going back, I mean, look at that. Peaks, peak, drop. It's all there, peak. Definitely a peak. This was 100% a peak. Double bottom. Divergence, yep. So this would have been the peak right here. It would have called it on this day, and then would have broke structure to the high, could have grabbed it low, bought it, pulled back to the 50 EMA, bought it. It went up that many pips. It went up 93 pips that day. So it's just getting patient and waiting for the right peak to pop up. And by looking at all the pairs, we have a greater chance of finding those peaks because we're looking at all 28 base all 28 Forex pairs plus gold, and I look at US 30. I don't trade US 30. I look at it every now and then, but it it does the thing, man, and it works. So let's see. Yeah, fade the weight. That's it. Patience is all you need, bro. So yeah, that's pretty much what we got going on for tonight. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube and to the group. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to reach out. Shoot an email to me, AlignedFx official@gmail, and then we have the group chat on Telegram. So shoot us up on there, and we'll go from there. We'll see what we can do tonight and how everything pans out. But I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, and we will get this thing up and running. Peace out.